I used to be someone who would say yes to almost everything. Requests from friends, requests from clients, family members. And I would end up feeling resentful because I didn't really want to agree to a lot of these requests that they were asking of me. But I am not that person anymore. So in this video, I'm going to show you the tips and tricks that I use to stop being a pushover without being a jerk. But first, let's talk a little bit about why a lot of us don't feel comfortable asserting ourselves. Well, it comes down to fear, right? Fear of disapproval, fear of being left out, fear of being rejected. Nobody wants to feel those things. But the truth is that people are asserting themselves all day, every day, and are not only surviving, but they are actually thriving. And you can too. It actually took me years to speak up for myself. I was a quiet kid. I was rewarded for being a quiet kid. I was always told how good I was, how well behaved I was, how polite I was. So of course that just reinforced the behavior. And there really wasn't a lot of encouragement to use my voice and speak up for myself. It wasn't really heard. Not to say that it's anybody's fault. People were just surviving at that time in life, so I totally understand the why. However, the result was that I didn't feel comfortable speaking up for myself or asserting myself. But years later, as an adult, I started my own business, a pet care business, which I still have to this day. And where that not being assertive came into play was me not charging what I was worth, right? And when I look back, I was probably charging less than most of the pet care businesses in town. I was also bending over backwards for almost all of my clients. If they would ask me, oh, hey, can I get a dog walk at 8 p.m.? Sure. Can I get a cat visit at Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Yes, absolutely. Of course we can do that. Just stretching myself so thin and ultimately putting my clients' needs before my own needs. But over time, I was subconsciously observing my clients and observing their communication with me. Now, a lot of them were high-level professionals, lawyers, doctors, project managers, basically every profession you could think of. But over the years in working with my clients, not the dogs are completely awesome, and I've learned so much from my dogs and cats, but from the humans, whom a lot of were and still are high-level professionals, I have learned to set boundaries, be more assertive, because that's how they have communicated with me. Because in order to be a successful person, at least professionally, you do need to have good communication skills, right? So just due to the nature of what they do for work, that is one of the skills that they had honed. And so in observing them, I learned that you can be assertive, but still kind at the same time. Set boundaries and still be respected and still give respect. So in all the years that I had been doing that work, I had been slowly, subconsciously picking those skills up. And that was one of the main reasons why I'm such a good communicator today. It's just being around good communicators. Now, on the other side of that, I have worked with some difficult clients who did not take me seriously as a person because I was just their pet care provider, right? People who didn't make it a priority to pay me for my services and things like that. So I ended up feeling resentful and not so great when I was treated like that. And that stuck with me. And those negative feelings were the catalyst for me starting to change my own behavior and say to myself, oh, hey, wait a second. I'm not going to be treated like that. I'm not going to be talked to like that. I'm not going to be disrespected. And so slowly over time, I started asserting myself more and more. And that's how I ultimately became a really good communicator and had no problem being assertive. So after years of learning the hard way, here's what I started to do to become more assertive and start speaking up for myself, and how you can do it too. So the first thing you can start doing is start shortening your responses to people who are making requests of you that you really don't want to participate in. So the old me would say, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I have this to do. I have that to do. I have to be somewhere. Da, da, da. You don't need to give them any of that extra information. You just need to get the point across that I'm not able to do that. You can end it with my apologies, right? Because what's happening when you're over-explaining yourself is you sound weak. It does come across. And when you sound weak, you're just not going to be as respected as if you just give a nice, strong answer to the person, right? So keep it simple, keep it straightforward. Again, you don't have to be rude, okay? You can certainly end it with my apologies. Tip number 2, check in with your gut. If someone asks you to do something or put some request upon you, feel free to say to them, let me get back to you on that. And during that time that you're processing the request, ask yourself, is that something that I want to do or something that I'm willing to do, right? So ask yourself the question, do I want to do this or not? How does that feel in your stomach? And if your gut's starting to turn into knots and it's clenching, that's your answer. The answer is no. You're not going to do it. You don't want to do it. So you tell the person no. And if your stomach is nice and relaxed and it feels, it feels okay, then sure, agree to it. But the thing is, when you listen to your gut, you're listening to your higher self, and your higher self knows what's best for you. Tip number 3, start small. Just take this one step at a time. So the next time somebody presents you with a situation or a request that you do not want to participate in, you follow the steps that we just talked about, okay? And say no. And just handle it one thing at a time. You don't need to start jumping to, well, how am I going to say no to my boss? Or how am I going to say no to coworkers? And how am I going to say no to mom? And how am I going to say no to my mother-in-law and my brother and You don't need to worry about all that right now, right? That's down the line. Start off with just one situation, asserting yourself in one scenario. And 1 leads to 2, 2 leads to 3, so on and so on. And over time, it becomes a habit. You end up having no problem saying no to people. Tip number 4, it's totally normal to feel stressed or guilty when you start asserting yourself. It's not something that you're used to doing. And the brain just likes to avoid conflict for the most part. So it's totally normal to feel those things. But know that you're not doing anything wrong. In fact, you're serving your highest self. And that is the best gift you can give to you and anyone else in your life. Because when you serve yourself, you're giving the best version of yourself out to the world. So even though it might feel uncomfortable at first, just know that it's going to be so worth it, and that discomfort will get so much easier over time the more that you practice doing this. So assertiveness isn't just something that you're generally born with. Know that it's a skill that people have built within themselves over time. And we're all coming from different starting points. So just because you're not assertive doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It just means that this is your starting point on being assertive. Some people grew up in families where they were taught to be assertive, and that's just natural for them. But a lot of us weren't. But no matter where your assertiveness comes from or where it starts, we all need to be assertive in life if we want to live a happy, successful, and joyful life. And again, live a life that is true to ourselves. And that's why I love the saying, say it anyway, because the repercussions are not going to be near what the benefits are of saying it. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to overthink it. You don't have to be a jerk. Just have to start saying what you need, kindly and confidently. I hope this video helped you today. Thank you for hitting the like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. I'd like you guys to meet my producer, Rocky. Highly assertive fella. Rocky, great job producing today. I don't know what we would do without you. So after years of learning the hardware,